All right, welcome everybody to our Monday Zoom and Learn. My name is Tommy Dutcher. I'm the Area Sales Manager with California Title. I am glad that you are all able to join us. And my co-host, Mary Jane Morris with Granite Escrow. MJ, you want to introduce you and your team?
Hey everybody, thanks for happy end of the month. Happy to be with you all, happy to see you all. I never can say enough nice things about my wonderful teams. Tracy Hasse at our Mission Valley and San Diego office, and Jonna Ennis from our La Jolla office join us regularly and cover for me from time to time.
Thank you.
We also support each other in out of area signups and that sort of thing, so that everybody gets the best of each of us, whether or not we can personally be there. So we hope you'll think of us no matter where your situation is in Southern California. Today, we are going to have, again, another person I can't say enough nice things about, Jane Borgan. I always say her name wrong. Borgan, but it's Brogan, isn't it? Isn't it BR?
No, it's
I feel like I know you so well for me to get that name wrong. I apologize. This is Jane.
Okay, no worries.
She came in and gave us an app class a couple of years ago, and I collect great teachers and people who can really make it useful and helpful. And so we have her on once a quarter, no matter what. And so this week we're going to talk about the RPR report. I'm going to lean heavily on Tommy for the questions and answers, because I just don't get the same amount of property questions as I do technical questions for transactions themselves. So I'm here to learn as well. And Jane, we're happy to have you, and the floor is yours.
Awesome. All right, guys, let me go ahead and share my screen. There we go. So as we get started, I'm on here on the dashboard. And I do want to mention that RPR is located there on your dashboard. Now you are going to need to create an account for RPR. And I will mention that if you forget your password after the third time, RPR actually locks you out completely, and you're going to have to contact RPR. CRMLS cannot help you to get back in there. So I always just think, use the same password that you use to log into Matrix and keep it simple. But that's just as we go along, something to keep in mind. So RPR, guys, is your tool to search the entire United States. Every recorded parcel is located here in Realtors Property Resource. It is a tool that is used by not only realtors, but also appraisers will use this tool. So if you jump in there and you do a search, let's say as an example, your client's looking out of state and you decide, hey, I'm going to jump into RPR, see if I can find some properties. If you come up and it just says no results found, no matches, it could mean a couple of things. It could mean that the multiple listing service in that particular area is not sharing data with RPR, or they just don't participate with RPR, or it may be an area like Tommy and I were talking about earlier, they just do not simply share outside of their MLS. So don't be, don't be surprised if it just says no data available. So first of all, I'm going to drop up here to my headshot, and this is pretty basic, guys. I'm going to drop up there and go to the profile, because there is a couple things there that I do want to mention. Now, when you get into the profile, you'll see that, oops, hold on one second. I jumped out of there. Sorry about that. Let's go back. There we go. So when you go into that profile, let me try that again. Let me get rid of that little guy there. Let's go into our profile. Okay, so this is just basically all of your information. Your headshot, your company logo, pretty basic there. But one thing I do want to mention as you're going on down the screen here, what you're going to see is the option under MLS or CIE info. And this is really important because when you drop in there, if you're first creating that account, make sure that you choose, where's your data coming from? It's coming from California Regional MLS. So when that menu pops up, of course, you're going to choose your state. And when it drops down to MLS, you're going to choose California Regional. And the reason that that is important is for the listing data status over here to the right. You can see that mine has a green check, which means that I'll be pulling in the data from the MLS and of course also off-market data. So that's how it makes it much more convenient for you guys to go in there and, for example, create that comparative market analysis. So if you don't get that little green check mark, it means that your account basically didn't sync up properly. And you can always contact us in that regard. Plug in your license number. Notice that you can add in assistant users, up to 3 assistant user accounts. So you would just drop right there. It says create new assistant user. And then drop on down, make sure you save it. Over on the right side, something to mention. Right there, connected apps. You can link up your ZipForms account. So I don't have a ZipForms account, but you would just go ahead and say link accounts right there. Alrighty, so we're set to go there. And the other tab that you see there would be settings. And this is just basic settings as far as residential and commercial. New listings, I just let those set to the default, which just means, hey, it's going to pop up and say it's a new listing for 30 days. And that's just that easy slider bar. Recently closed sales, 180 days. Certainly you guys might want to go ahead and adjust that and then make sure that you save it. All right, my markets. So you'll see that when we get back to the home page, if you want to add in market areas, such as cities, zip codes, and so forth, you get what I would consider like a hot sheet on that home page. But just think about, you know, RPR doesn't run exactly real time with Matrix. I'm not exactly sure what that lag time is, but typically if you're looking for a hot sheet, you're going to use your hot sheet and market watch widget. Those tools I would focus back in Matrix. So what most agents are going to use RPR for would be to search outside of the area, or if they want to drop in and create a report. Okay, so there's 2 items that we are going to focus on. I'm going to go back to the home page. And the reason I want to focus on just a couple different things is because when RPR did their last upgrade, they have created, I mean, I think it's way too many buttons here, honestly. The first time I went in there, I wasn't really sure, you know, where should I start, what button I should go to. So I've really kind of drilled it down and I want to talk about creating, we're going to do a comparative market analysis report. And I'm going to walk you through the steps there. And then we're going to talk about prospecting for clients. And we're going to drill into a specific neighborhood. And we're going to bring up a list of folks that have lived at the property for over 20 years and what we can do with that list. So I'm going to keep it basic and I'm not going to overwhelm you by touching on every single button. I would just suggest, guys, when you have the opportunity to drop in there and kind of navigate through all the buttons because many are just redundant of one another. Okay, so we're on the home page. There we go. And if you guys have any questions, feel free. Usually Tommy can just kind of chime in and ask questions as we go through. So
I know there's a couple
right
people that
here,
are probably questioning the investor analysis as well. So we have quite a few that are on this call right now on the Zoom that deal a lot with investors.
Right, you know what, that one, it's going to walk you right through it, honestly.
Okay.
The investor analysis, if you just start clicking through there, it's going to take you right through the steps. You're basically creating an analysis, whether it's a property that you're going to just flip it, or if you're going to hold on to it for long term. So
Gotcha.
It's just going to prompt you to go through, plug in all the data, and it's going to do a breakdown of that for you.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
So it's an interesting tool. And that's a cool thing, guys. Notice that, and I've left the little tags stay there because if I go in and I'm not really sure how to flow through something, it just says, okay, show me, and it's going to walk you through every single step. Okay. All right.
And I noticed
right up
that
here,
toggle at the top next to location where it says residential and commercial. So this will allow you to search both then.
Right, allows you to search both.
Okay,
The default goes to residential. I can switch it over to commercial. Okay.
perfect. Okay.
And then the one other thing that right up here too, data tools, that is geared towards association use. So if you notice that I just kind of glazed over that, that would be something more that an association would talk to RPR about, not for an individual user.
Gotcha.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and plug an address in here, and I've got one right here. So I grabbed a property down in Temecula, and the reason I did that was because I was able to find comps. So there are some areas, of course, that there just aren't a lot of comps available. So you have to type out the full address. It should pop up there. Oh, there we go. I missed part of the street, via Jaka. Try again. Sometimes it can run just a little bit slow. So we got 45356 via Jaka. There it is. Was there?
There it is.
There it is right there. Gotcha. Okay. So I'm going to search that property. And you'll notice now when you go into an individual property, I know you're all familiar with realist tax. So this really is similar to realist tax in the fact that you have your entirety of your property profile here. There's a few more tools that you see when you drop in there. And the off-market properties, of course, actually all properties have an RVM that is associated with that property. So that's just another option for you as having your AVM over in realist tax. You have your RVM, your Realtors Valuation Model here in RPR. And of course, according to the folks at RPR, you know, this tool was created by the folks over at NAR. Their RVM is more accurate than your AVMs are. So when you drop in here, you're going to see that RVM associated with the properties. Now, if I drop on down, I get all the home facts. And if it's a property that you're creating a report for and it was not recorded properly at the assessor, when I drop in here, let's say as an example, square footage, I want to go ahead and change up that square footage for my report. You see that option to make those changes on the right side. And the changes that you make, of course, would reflect in the report that you create. So this basically is just a summary of the property. RPR has schools associated with it. You can create school reports. I have a link out to the school website here. I'll just kind of take you down through here. If it was listed currently, you'd have two sets of data. You'd have the public facts, you'd have the listed facts. Of course, this is an off-market property. All your tax information, mortgage records, and so on. Okay, so it's kind of divided up into different tabs. You've got your summary tab, and you'll notice that on that summary tab, which we're currently on, you see a map over here, kind of an interactive map. And I always think that this little map is kind of hidden, and so it probably gets overlooked by most agents that use it. But if you go ahead and click on it, see if that shares properly.
It is.
Yeah, it's sharing. Okay. So now when you drop in here, I think this is interesting, especially if you're not familiar with the area and you're looking at what are the values of those homes surrounding that target property. So here's just my target property, and all of those surrounding homes have the RVM attached on the rooftop. So this is just like a quick glance at looking at a neighborhood. And you all know that these are just automated values. As you drop on down, there's a legend right here. So if you're looking for the legend, you see that on the right side. But this is just a way to take a look at an area with the values on the rooftop.
I liked how that pinpointed the houses that are listed as well with a blue dot.
Yeah, I think it's a great tool. And I do think it just, honestly, it really gets it just gets overlooked because it's so tiny over here on the right side. I mean, if you're, if you were going in here, would you even click on it? Because there's so much on this page that it's just, it's a lot. And then there's also the option to evaluate. That takes you out to a whole nother section. And you guys, if you have the opportunity, drop in there. You can go through and have the steps to analyze that property a little bit deeper. All right. So you've got your history, you have your chart. I'll kind of walk you through here. And the reason you think about, as you're going through and you're looking at all these various tabs, it's just really saying, hey, this is everything that you could put into a report. So you could really narrow down there. You could just use all of this information for your knowledge. You're looking at kind of a more interactive graph here as you go through. You've got a whole page of charts, a whole tab of charts. Let's jump you over there. Now this is always going to be broken down. You see the legend up here, this house, the zip code, the entire county, the entire state. So you can go through, you've got median estimated home value. You know, a lot of agents, honestly, they just may not use RPR for creating reports, but they might use it to actually just go in and take a look at these graphs and just looking at all the data. So there's a wealth of data that is associated, of course, with every single property. Okay, refined value. I'm just going to keep moving across here. So this refined value tab gives you the ability to refine for creating a report. And so as you drop down here and you look at this little icon right here, where is the information coming from or about this data? The source for that is Hanley Wood. So as example, if I drop in here and I say, okay, home improvement, there's a list that has been created. And if you choose from this list, that home improvement is calculated. Major kitchen remodel as example. I would plug in the date completed. I'll say November. We'll date it back to 2019. I plug in a value and I update that. I add it. It takes into consideration depreciation and so forth, time gone by. It tells you the value according to the amount spent, the value that it currently adds. So if you're looking for a tool that you could create a report, adding in that value, you'll see now up at the top how it refined my value from the original estimate, my refined changes, and my refined estimate. So this could be, you know, a tool that would come in handy in that case. Tommy, what do you think of that one? The refined value tab.
Yeah, no, I think it is something that'll help agents evaluate, you know, what a house could list for, because, you know, a lot of times agents are just comparing it to like for like that they may find on the MLS only. But what if you don't find a house in the general area that has been fully remodeled or updated or what have you, and you're trying to kind of evaluate what that would look like? I found it interesting that you said a lot of appraisers use RPR. Mm-hmm. I can see how an appraiser would utilize this to gain values as well.
Yeah, and too, if you know your client, maybe they say, hey, this is how much we spent on our kitchen back in the year 2019, what have you, and you come up with this number. Well, they say, well, where did you get that data from? I just want you to be prepared. And, you know, right here about this data, go in and do some research on Hanley Wood. They provide data across the nation. And so it's not just like a guessing game. It is actually science based on the zip code of the property. So that way you'd have that backup so you know where the data came from. And they have a whole website. It's a very interesting company. But as well as refining the value for the home improvement, you know, you look at a house and you say, hey, you know, I think, you know, probably going to need that new roof and so forth. I can refine it by needed improvements, and that would take away. So you're basically creating that report as a visual of, you know, well, I've refined the value. We've added on, excuse me, your improvements, but we also need to take away something that really does need to be done. So that refined value tab
Cool.
is one that is interesting.
So if you went down and it said on the refined value, right, by home conditions, and
Yeah.
let's say that an investor or an agent working with an investor was trying to give a report to a homeowner showing, what they feel the value is based on the improvements needed, and they plugged in all the improvements that are needed, then at the top of the page, it said generate report. They could generate a report that would show that.
Yes.
Perfect.
So they would make sure that they added that page in. And I think this is honestly one of the only tools that I can think of that we have, which is within all of our software options that we give you, that you do have that ability to really refine that value and break it down for a report. So just kind of keep that in your mind.
There was one question that came up. It said, can you use this for multifamily 5 or more?
You would just go into the commercial section.
In the commercial section.
Right. So as Tommy mentioned, guys, when we were on the home page and you had that option to toggle between residential and commercial, just switch it over. Yeah. So this would be a great option for that. And a lot of agents do use it for just that purpose.
Perfect.
All right. So we are over to the CMA. Now, I don't want you guys to think that if you drop in here and, I don't have to go through all these tabs. I can just go right in. I can pull that property up. I can drop right over to the CMA button right here. Okay. And what it's going to do now, it's got all of the criteria right at the top. And so as we drop on down, you're going to see 2 report options. The comparative analysis is geared towards realtors, and your sales comparison analysis is geared towards the appraisers. So it gives you right there what's the difference. But you go in here and you think, okay, well, step number 2 is not, I can't click on it. The only thing that you need to do, notice under step 1, confirm the home facts, you first just have to go to the right, and you're just confirming the basic facts, such as square footage, property type, very little data that you're confirming, but this is just going to confirm facts and close in the bottom right. And now you said, yes, I agree with those facts. Now it allows you to move on to step number 2 to search for your comparables and find comps.
Yeah, the agents that I know that are using this, it's so much faster to do a CMA than they were utilizing before.
It is fast, and
it's more user friendly, really.
It is, honestly. It's just, you can just really jump right around here and get it done quickly, and it kind of sets it up here for you too. So I can add a known property in. If there's a property that I found that was off the MLS, I could certainly add that in, but it does default just search an area. And so by default, it's going to go out 1 mile. So there sits our target property. And I'm going to go ahead and set up my property type is already set, single family. We're going to look for the active pending. We can select active under contract if we wish. Closed sale, of course. We want to close up that date range. Their default is 6 months, but we're going to switch it up to last 3 months. And then, I'm not a realtor, guys, so I have my own little method I use, but I'm going to go 2,800 up to 3,200 square feet. So we'll kind of close up that living area range, and then price and so forth. I'm not worried about that. So when I hit search, my comps are going to pop up down below. And I like it also because I'm getting that visual on the map, which is awesome, right? So if I want to go to one of those individual properties, I can. But if there's a case where I think, let me just draw out the area myself, I can certainly drop up here and use that quick polygon and I can map it out. But I'm just going to drop on down to the bottom. Now, if I don't get any comps, I would just simply go back, modify search, and kind of wiggle things around a little bit. So now what you're going to see as you drop on down, if that particular property was used to create that realtor's valuation model, you can see this first one right here, it was used in the RVM. So as I start grabbing those comps, I'm going to start checking those. I'm going to drop down.
Oh, that
I'm
is
just going to
awesome.
randomly
So it tells you
Is
which
this awesome?
houses they use to evaluate the price.
to come to the RVM. And so I think what's nice too is I'm seeing my range over here. And if I add one that makes my range a crazy, right, I can just take it out. So as I'm going through and I'm looking at all these properties, like let's say example, I add that one for 883. I know that that's way too high. So now you can see it just adjusting my range out. If I need to take it out, I say, oh, let me just remove that from my comp. Okay, and approve it. So as you drop down, you'll see several of those. I ran this a couple days back, but I did see several as I dropped in here that were used to come to that RVM. So there's another one right there, real close proximity. Okay, so you've got your basic data there as far as the list date. You see how many days it was on the market. This one's a pending sale. So you go through, guys, you start adding your comps in, and you're basically just adding, taking away to get to that value that you need over here. So you can remove from comps, keep adding to, but then once you've got those comps all set, ready to go, update valuation and close. So easy, right? Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Easy, right? I mean, it's basically doing the work for you. All you've got to do is just push the right button.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's my comp analysis. If I want to go ahead and make adjustments right here, this is going to be just a slider. Go ahead, Tommy.
Well, agents are shaking their head right now because most of them are going in the MLS, looking for the comps, selecting them, exporting them out to do the CMA, right? And then they have no idea what that's going to pan out to look like until after they've done it. Then they'll go back into it to alter it. This is going to save them so much time.
It really does. And I don't know, you know, what you guys think about, because you're not appraisers. You just would have to be careful with, you know, doing your adjustments down here. So this is a section where I always just point it out to you, and it's up to you. But this is going to adjust that target property.
And I like that you can right there scroll through the pictures for each of those properties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, they've really done a great job. There's a lot of buttons in here, and I think if you've never been in here before, I think it can be a little bit overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
So just, you know, don't get overwhelmed with it.
But I
Just
like the
drop
bottom
in here.
section as well, because if you scroll down a little bit right there where it says inner text here,
Yeah.
let's say that the house is the same exact like model and stuff, but you wanted to put a little quote there that, you know, kitchen has been upgraded, right? Where maybe your property that you're trying to sell has not, right? And you want to put a little comment there so that it stands out when your client looks at it, of what the difference is when they see a price point that may be slightly higher than what you're suggesting, right?
Yeah, right. And like Tommy said, guys, that's where you enter the notes right there. And so by default, including my reports is already checked.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then update valuation and close. And then lastly, create your report. So when you drop over here, I think something to mention too that's important. Of course, there's a sample of my cover sheet. I've added in all the elements. I can also reach out to my device and create my own custom pages, but I honestly don't think you're going to need to do that, because the cover page here is pretty awesome. And when I go over to seller's report, I'm going to open this page up. And the first thing the agents will say is they look at the sample, and a lot of them, they kind of shy away because it says 81 pages. Well, we certainly know that we're not going to create a CMA that's 81 pages.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get mine really short, simple, to the point. I'm not going to overwhelm. And so it remembers the pages that I used the last time. And if I want to see what does that page look like, all I have to do is just mouse over the eye, and it brings up and shows me just that quick snapshot. So you can kind of go through here, test it. You'll notice that as you drop on down, you know, like I said, I've taken out a lot of sections. I'm just running some side-by-side comps. I've got some market activity, property photos, home facts. I didn't add a lot of pages in, quite honestly. Seller's proceeds, I didn't add that in. Include my notes is right here. So as Tommy mentioned, if you're adding a note on a comp, that's where you see that include my notes. But there's all the different report types. I know a lot of agents that like to use like a mini property report. You have a school report, valuation workbook that is geared more towards your appraisers. You can create market activity, neighborhood reports. But as you drop one down to the bottom, I can go ahead and email the report directly from here. It's going to email out just a link to a PDF, but run your report is at the very bottom. That report will generate, and that's going to be found up here at the very top. Here's all my existing report. And I can also go up here to my work, and I can drop down to my reports that way. But let's look at a report that I created. Here we go. Okay. So there's my cover sheet. So I didn't have a photo of the property. It just grabbed that aerial shot. There's all my information that pulled from my profile. And notice that the pages are dated. I always think that's important because you don't want to take something out that you created 2 weeks ago, because I certainly, I would look at the date to see how fresh it was if somebody brought me a report. But now you see I've got my comp analysis, and like I said, I just have mine short. I just wanted to show you the side-by-side comps. Here's market activity, seller's report, the comps map, and then I drop down to the side-by-side comps, which is really easy to read. And after I get through the side-by-side comps, I added in an individual report on each one of those comps. So it turned out to be 14 pages, right? Not a lot of fluff. It's just really kind of the necessary pages. All right. So there's that. Okay. Hope you guys jump in there and create a report while it's fresh. So let's go back home and let's switch up gears. So there's that button we mentioned earlier to toggle over to commercial. So notice residential is the default. So the other item that I wanted to talk about is prospecting for sellers. And here's a little shortcut right here. It says prospect for clients right there under shortcuts. That's the easiest way to get to it. Everybody wants clients, right? Prospect for clients. And it's going to pop up and say, are you looking for buyers or sellers? I'm looking for sellers. So there we go. And see how it points me right where to go next. It says, okay, start by clicking research. I like to use the map search. There we go. And so what I've done, guys, is I dropped in there, and let's say that I want to search over in Red Hawk Parkway. I already drew my area up. So when you drop in there and you want to drill down into a specific area, so you can see what I did. I went over to Red Hawk, and I'm looking for properties in this area that I mapped out. I also saved that area for later, okay? So with that said, what I wanted to do was use these filters over here to the right. And on my filters, what I'm using are the public records. So you can only include one. You can't choose multiples here. Public records. I want single family for my property type. And as we drop one down, I'm excluding all distressed properties. Occupancy type, I'm using owner occupied. Keyword searching, I would skip over that because I've never gotten it to really work. So just pretend that's not there. And then I did time owned. I did 20+ years because I want to reach out to those folks. Maybe they're ready to downsize, move out of California. I don't know. The kids are gone. Update and search. So I kept it really simple. Okay. Update and search. And now what it shows me on the map are each one of those properties. But what I want to see is a list. Okay. So I'm going to go up here. There's just a few icons. It says view the list. I can also view the gallery. I kind of like this view because what I was thinking you could do here, if I'm looking at these individual properties, and I can go to this whole profile just by clicking on that. But once I do that, if there's properties that I really want to for sure reach out to, I can put those into my saved properties right here by just clicking that little heart. And then I can always come back to those later. So that little icon, the heart, I'm saving those individual properties. So that's your different views there. Tommy, you have a question? You good?
No, good.
You're good? Okay. But this is my list view. So here sits all those properties. I mean, out of all of those, there were only 38 that were owner occupied more than 20 years. And so you can drop in here, guys. You saw how fast it is to create a CMA. You can create your comparative market analysis to mail out to these folks. I think that, you know, the way the market is now, they most likely would open it up and take a look at it in reference to, let's say I just send out some postcards. I'm going to throw that postcard away. That's the first thing when I go through my trash, and you all do it. Those big postcards, they go in the trash right away as you're sorting your mail out. But if I get an envelope with a nice little CMA in it, I'm probably going to open it. And if it's short enough, I'm definitely going to look at it. I'm just thinking as a consumer. Okay. And I know that, Tommy, you can get mailing labels, but if you just wanted some quick mailing labels right from here, this is a cool feature. I do like this. Here's my mailing labels for those, I think it was 38 properties. I've got a PDF right there. Address type, I've got property, owner name. I'm going to go on down here to occupancy type. I'm going to say owner occupied. I think I lose one when I do that. Doesn't matter. Exclude listed properties. I like that feature. If it's already listed, I'm not going to send them a CMA, obviously. Exclude properties on the do not mail list, and exclude properties with incomplete addresses. You get 2,000 exports per month. Go ahead and print it out, and there's your label. It's just a fast way to drop in there and do some quick prospecting in that very refined area that we marked off. And the reason that I saved that, guys, if I drop up here to my work, there are my saved searches right there. So once I draw that out and I map it out, I don't have to drop back in there and find that later. There's when I created East Lake Village. There's my one for Red Hawk Parkway on that homepage. I can just drop right back to that. So easy. There's my list again. See if we have
Very
anything
cool.
in the chat. But what do you guys think? That's just a couple of the tools in there.
Yeah, that's
Like I
only
said, I
two
don't
of
wanna
like the 10
overwhelm.
tools that are available in there.
But you know what, Tommy? A lot of these too, like using a map search, create a report. They're kind of redundant of one another, as I said. Create a CMA report to the homepage, and then these up here, they're all pretty. I just think there's so many buttons that it's overkill. They could have done with just either the shortcuts or the buttons at the top.
Yeah.
Because that's about it. I mean, and then you
I
guys
think the
can drop in
majority
there
of the
and take a
people are
look
going to
at that.
use those shortcut ones. But there are a handful that are going to use the marketing pieces for commercial stuff and things up there. You know, I just think there's so much more within RPR here that you guys can utilize this for. And again, it's extremely user friendly. I would encourage each of you to log into it, create your profile, and have it accessible so that you can go in and kind of click around and get a feel for how it can help you in your business. I know the CMAs in here are much simpler to do than what most are doing now within the CRMLS. Or within Matrix. So I would just say is when you have time, you're going to want to go in and really go through it.
Yep, I agree. Angela, did you have a question?
Jane, your teaching was excellent on par today. Tracy, a partner of mine from OC, popped in, and I was just, I want to find out, will you have this recording available and where? But in the interest of looking up those custom comp stacks where you do by lot size, that's one that we're particularly interested in on how to adjust for the lot size. And I came in right at the end of it, and I was so bummed.
Yep. And to answer your question, Angela, in the chat right now, you'll see a link to where all the recordings are. It'll be up by this afternoon, about 3 o'clock. And all of our Zoom and Learns are there, so you can go back and see all the previous ones. You can click on subscribe so you can get updated.
Oh, perfect.
Yep,
Thanks
and
to
there-
Tracy Hassey for putting this out to me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and there's the lot size too. So if you go into an individual property and you're looking at creating that report, all you have to do is go down under the property facts. And here's where I can adjust. So if the lot size is not recorded properly and you're going to adjust it, you just put in your adjustments, also switches to acres, of course, and then just save changes. And that's going to save for your report. You know, and if you have questions too, you can always reach out. My email address is jane@crmls.org, or you can reach out to Tommy. I think Tommy has, he has a good handle on RPR too. So either one of us, we'd be glad to help you out. Right, Tommy?
Absolutely.
All right.
All right, let's, does anybody have quick questions for Jane? I know Jane does have another appointment that she has scheduled for, so we're grateful that she was able to fit us in. Are there any direct questions for Jane outside of what has already been answered? Okay, so what I would do is I would encourage everybody, if you do have questions, you can reach out to Tracy, Mary Jane, Jonah, or myself, and we will definitely get those answered for you. If you're in RPR and you're getting stuck, again, Jane's email is jane@crmls.org, and feel free to reach out to her via email. She is extremely prompt in getting back to us within, you know, a very reasonable time frame. So with that, Jane, is there anything else that you wanted to share with us? I know that, you know, we're coming up on your appointment there, so.
Yeah. Not right off the top of my head, Tommy. I can't think of anything.
I thank you for sharing this with us because, again, this is one of those tools that is offered in your guys' MLS dues that is definitely going to save you some time and give you some resources that really the regular matrix CRMLS can't give you, right? Some of it can, but a lot of it can't. So I would say is mess around with it, play with it. You can't harm it. So, you know, go in and kind of get a feel for what it is. It is extremely user-friendly. Utilize it with the mouse, because if you hover over anything, it'll give you a prompt of what it is, what to do, etc. Okay. Jane, I thank you so much for sharing this with us and coming on. We look forward to the next time you're able to join us. We'll definitely be picking another app to go through like this to where, you know, it can add value to the agents and their business. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do that for us.
You're welcome. All right, I'm going to jump off, guys. Take care.
All right. Thank you so much, Jane.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Okay.
All right, everybody. So, you know, this RPR is definitely a time saver when it comes to just even using it for just doing a CMA. It is just so much more interactive when you're building your CMA than what you can do in Matrix, that I think once you get the feel for it, you probably won't ever do a CMA in Matrix again. Because you'll find that you'll work within the program of the CMA in RPR. You won't have to go back and forth between your comps and your CMA and everything else. And you'll be able to adjust as you go along. But as far as prospecting goes, there's a lot of marketing and prospecting stuff within that app. I would definitely encourage you guys to take a look at it, mess around with it, and see, you know, how it may benefit you. If you get stuck and you need help, I'm more than willing to help whenever possible. All my contact is at Tommy for Title. It's on the screen there, TOMMY, the number 4title.com. You can find all my info there. Again, these are recorded. I did put it in the chat, the link. So you could go there and subscribe to that. All of our Zoom and Learns are there. And that'll allow you to go back and watch them as a refresher as well. So
You know what? Could you re-put it in the chat? Maybe when you log on later, it doesn't show up.
I just did a few seconds ago. If in chat, you should see
Okay,
that.
I'm not seeing it.
Okay, I'll do it again right now. Hold on. Let me go to everyone.
There you go.
Yep.
Thank you.
So we have well over 50 Zoom and Learns there now, all different topics. We try and add value for you guys each week. So, you know, you can go back through and look at those, watch them. None of them are really longer than about an hour. We try and keep this down to about an hour. But the nice thing is you know, it's stuff pertaining to your business, right? So it's stuff that can help you in your business. So we hope that, you know, you'll get something out of it. I know RPR, you will. A lot of agents just don't realize what most of those apps are, and they never click on them when they log into Matrix. And there are a lot of apps there that can really save you a lot of time and benefit your business. So we were glad that Jane was able to join us and kind of go through it, because she is obviously our CRMLS expert. And we will try and have her on at least once every couple months to go over different aspects of either updates or new stuff that is included in your dues each quarter. So hopefully that helped. And yeah, if you guys ever need anything again, you can reach out to me. I'm more than willing to help. You can reach out to Tracy, you can reach out to MJ or Jonah. We're there to help. So by all means, thank you guys for joining us. And unless anybody has any questions, you know, I do remain on until the last one drops off. So I will remain on to help.